Hi, this is the sixth video in the series on plane geometry, and in this video we'll cover circle. A circle is a set of points that lies at the same distance from a fixed point. So if you have a point and then you want to collect all the points that lie at the same distance. So if you take this point and this point, two different points on the circle, and join it to the center, then these distances will be the same. Now the fixed point is called the center. Let's use O to denote the center. And that fixed distance is called the radius. And we can use the letter R to denote radius. So every circle is defined by its center and radius. You can use a compass to draw circles. So if you start at some point, then keep one of the ends of the compass fixed and the other end has the tip of the pencil, and that's going to draw a circle for us. So the center was right there, and this distance is the radius. This is the radius. And there is one other distance that we are interested in, and that goes from one point on the circle to the other point, and it passes through the midpoint, and this is called the diameter. So diameter, we can use D to denote the diameter, and you can clearly see that it consists of two radii. So diameter is the same as 2 times the radius. Now we talked about areas and perimeters for polygons, and circle is not a polygon. So to find its area, we'll have to do some work, and the word perimeter is not used for circle. The term for distance of the boundary is circumference. So what is a circumference? A circumference is, if you start at one point and then go around and come back, that length is called the circumference. And we'll write down the formula for the circumference. For that, what we want to know is that if you have a circle, and if this is the radius, if this is the diameter, and if you try to wrap this diameter around the circle, so let's see, if I try to wrap this diameter, so imagine this to be flexible, and the diameter is getting wrapped around the circle, and you can see that it's not going to go all the way, but this might be the diameter. So this is one diameter, and if I try to wrap it again, then second time I may be able to cover some more circle, but it still won't be enough. So that's the second diameter. And then if I try to wrap it around, what happens is it's going to cover almost entirely, but it stops a little bit before joining the starting point. So this is D. Now whatever is left, this is about, this part is roughly, so I'm going to use this symbol, which means it's not equal to, but approximately 0.14 diameters. So the circumference, I can use the letter C for circumference, is, or actually let's let's write it this way. Circumference is approximately 1, 2, 3, and 0.14. So that is about 3.14 diameters. Now, if I want to use the equality, if I want to know exactly how much the circumference is, then I will replace this number 3.14 with pi. And that's actually the definition of pi. So how is pi defined? It's defined as the number of diameters that can fit in the circumference of any circle. So that's the formula for circumference. I can write pi d, or I could also write diameter is 2 times the radius, so d can be replaced with 2r, and we normally want to write the number first and then use the symbol, so we can say circumference is 2 pi r. Now let's talk about area of the circle. So area of a circle, it's again going to use pi, and this is going to be, there are several ways to prove that, and I'm not going to prove it, but I will just state the result. This is given by the formula pi r square. So let's write down a equals pi r square. So how much area, how much room you have inside a circle of radius r, that's going to be pi r square. And what is the outer boundary? That's going to be pi times d, or 2 pi r. Now notice that circumference is one-dimensional. That's why you only have r. 2 does not have any units, pi does not have any units, and r is measured in maybe inches. Then circumference is measured in inches. Whereas area is two-dimensional. So pi does not have any units, but r has units of inch, and you are squaring it. So area would have units of inch square. So those are the formulas for the circumference and area of a circle. Now there are some other terms related to a circle. So let's get all of the terminology that we can in this video. So if I draw a circle, we talked about the center, radius, and diameter so far. Now this, if you were to join one point on the circle to some other point on the circle and stay within the circle, so this is called the chord. So the question, is diameter a chord? Yes, it is a chord. Earlier we drew diameter. Diameter passed through the center, and notice diameter is the biggest chord. And then I can look at a part of a circle. So if I just the part of the circle, this is called arc. So what is an arc? Arc is part of the circle. So, or you can say it's part of the circumference of a circle. And then we can write down one more term. If I were to connect 2 points on the circle to the radius and then focus entirely on this, this is called a sector. So that's called a sector. So chord, arc, and sector. And we can also, if I have a sector, but I'm not interested in the area, but only the angle. So this is the center, O. If I'm interested in this angle, this arc subtends at the center. This is called central angle. And if I have a circle, now if I don't join these 2 points to the center, but to some other point in the circle, and let's say this angle is alpha, then this is called the inscribed angle for this arc. I could have said this is the central angle for this arc. So there is the central angle and there is the inscribed angle. And if a circle lies entirely in a triangle, so let me first draw a circle and then I'm going to draw a triangle. So such a circle is called incircle because it's inside the circle. Now if a circle is drawn passing through the vertices of a triangle. So let's go ahead and draw the circle first, and then if the triangle is inside the circle or if the circle is outside the triangle, so let's say this is the center, then this is called a circumcircle. Now these are some important terms related to circle, and we talked about circumference and area formulas. In the next video we will relate circles and triangles.